Hi, my name is Emma, and I'm going to be doing a SWOT analysis on the Buffalo Bisons. The Buffalo Bisons are a AAA team, which is top tier minor league baseball, and they were established in 1877. Their stadium is Salem Field, which is located in downtown Buffalo, New York, and then their MLB affiliation team is the Toronto Blue Jays since 2013. To give an overview of SWOT, SWOT stands for Strengths, Weaknesses, Opportunities, and Threats. According to Forbes, SWOT is an efficient tool used to audit the business and determine next steps without any bias of the organization. Strengths and weaknesses are internal within the organization, and opportunities and threats are external factors that would affect the organization. So strengths are what the organization does well in. Weaknesses are the areas in which it could improve. Opportunities are the factors that provide openings for growth and improvement within the organization. And then threats are the environmental factors that jeopardize, threaten an organization's chances for success. The Bisons have a lot of strengths, but mainly their strong local fan base, backdated in the 1800s, where tradition is very strong with this team. There's a lot of attendance from older fans. Also, their affiliation with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are number one right now in the American League in the East Conference, and then it's also a prime stadium location, in downtown Buffalo. Also, with their high quality facilities, although it is an older stadium, they have gotten recent upgrades. And then also the historic brand recognition, as I mentioned, the stadium is pretty old, the team is pretty old, but they have all these traditions. And then also community engagement is really important to them. They have a lot of youth programs, charity events, and school outreach within the community. And all these strengths kind of go into the idea of corporate reputation quotient model, which we discussed and found in the article, where these strengths kind of play into key things that an organization needs, like appealing emotionally and within the community in order to enhance their brand engagement. On the other hand, the Bisons definitely have a lot of weaknesses, such as their brand visibility is pretty strong regionally. However, nationally, it's pretty weak outside of New York and Canada. And then, like I said, Salem Field is a lot older than competitor stadium, so they probably don't have as many of the bells and whistles, but there is a lot of tradition. There's also not as much broadcast presence compared to competitors. It is a minor league team, however, a lot of minor league teams do have that national television, broadcasting. So they definitely need to tap more into the media outlets. And then the revenue kind of depends mostly on in-season attendance because there's really no off-season income from, other events besides the baseball events. And then they definitely have lower merchandise sales compared to competitors, like the Durham Bulls and the Toledo Mud Hens have higher sales. I think they definitely need to, step up the merchandise game, kind of appeal more to younger audiences. And then overall lack of year-round engagement, this probably comes from, it being an older team, but also that the fact that they're not being proactive in kind of adapting to these new changes. I think the Bisons could definitely leverage a lot of opportunities, such as with their Canadian fan base, with the Blue Jays, like merging, cross-border marketing with them in order to generate more sales with the minor league side, and then also kind of creating more digital content to engage these younger audiences like Gen Z, such as, behind-the-scenes footage, maybe some player interviews, trendy TikTok trends, and also YouTube vlogs, perhaps. Also, I think they could kind of utilize more facility upgrades. I know I said before they were getting more upgrades, but definitely tapping into the new fan tech that's out there, definitely with other teams like augmented reality, virtual reality stations, mobile app seat upgrades, maybe loyalty programs with the people who have been there a while. And then also having non-baseball events at the stadium, such as concerts, esports, food festivals, to kind of generate more revenue in this sense. And then kind of having more youth leagues, summer camps, to engage this younger audience. Also, collaborating with local colleges is a great opportunity for students, as I know people majoring in, say, sports management, sports marketing, sports administration, they're looking for internships to help out, so that would be a great way to utilize that. On the flip side, there's a lot of external threats, such as competition from other sports in Buffalo. I know the Bills are definitely a big sports team and generate a lot of revenue as there's limited local sports spending to go around. And then Buffalo's weather and climate can definitely hurt attendance and planning for these events. However, that is a threat that most teams kind of face in Buffalo. And then there was the recent restructuring changes that they were trying to reduce the number of minor league teams. I know maybe about 40 have been gotten rid of with the affiliates. However, this is kind of to increase the spending in the areas of, say, player development, travel to kind of better these teams, although they are reducing some. And then operational costs are definitely rising faster than revenue, I'd say, like costs for stadium maintenance, player development, and travel. They also have an older fan base, so there's kind of the need to attract younger audiences like competitors have been doing, and they're definitely kind of being more proactive in that, but the Bisons need to kind of tap more into that. And then another threat is that, streaming platforms, emerging technology, especially with families, they're kind of looking for more cheaper ways to spend their time, and going to a minor league baseball game maybe isn't the best way they think to spend their money, and they could also just stream the game. Overall, from this SWOT analysis, I think that the Buffalo Bisons are definitely a very well-established brand in the sense of tradition and also community engagement. However, I do think they need to be proactive in these emerging technologies, these trends, in order to engage younger audiences, like I said, so that they could kind of break through in this minor league industry.